Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. I am so thrilled you're joining us today because we're tackling something that is literally a game changer for students, researchers, really anyone doing professional writing. A lot of people kind of think that writing brilliantly at a high academic level is, I don't know, some sort of mystical innate talent. Like you're either born with it or you're not. But I'm here to tell you that's just absolutely false. Academic writing, it's really more of a modular toolkit. And today we're going to build that exact toolkit together.
Okay, let's just take a quick look at our roadmap. We're going to cover 1. Reviewing academic work, 2. The power of nuance, 3. Essential academic phrasing, and 4. Avoiding common traps.
Now, absolutely everything we're diving in today comes straight from this fantastic guide on giving opinions in academic writing. It is literally packed with specific examples, and we're going to break down the most impactful ones piece by piece to see exactly how they tick.
So the whole secret here, the real trick to sounding like an absolute expert, boils down to one word: collocations. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly are they? Well, they aren't just big, fancy vocabulary words. Collocations are highly specific, expected word pairings. They're the phrases academics use to signal to other academics, hey, I belong in this conversation. When you nail the right collocations, your writing instantly stops sounding like a casual chat and starts sounding super authoritative and incredibly precise. All right, let's jump right into section 1, reviewing academic work, where we look at analyzing others' research. When you're writing a paper, you're never just writing in a vacuum, right? You always have to engage with what others have already done. And notice how we talk about work that we really admire. Take this example, reviewing Lucas Georgescu's groundbreaking research. We don't just say his paper is good or helpful, no way. The text uses this fantastic collocation, makes a significant contribution. And instead of saying his arguments will just change how we think, it uses the really strong, forward-looking phrase, shape our thinking. Shape implies this active, lasting influence on the whole discipline. It's so much more powerful. But hey, academia isn't all just praise and agreement, is it? Let's look at how we describe conflict. Our researcher here, Partridge, she doesn't just defend her theory, she strenuously defends it. And her theory hasn't just been criticized, it has come under attack. These collocations are great because they illustrate that intense, high-stakes academic sparring that happens all the time in the pages of scientific journals. It paints such a vivid picture of intellectual debate, doesn't it? So, instead of just vaguely saying, oh, someone wrote a book about a topic, you really want to use precise tools to explain exactly what they actually accomplished. Look at Marina Kaz's work on Karl Marx. The source note, she gives an account of his philosophy and provides evidence to support the claim. She also offers a concise summary, which just means short and clear, right? Or take Nathan Peale. He attempts to establish a connection between mobile phone use and physical damage. Do you see the precision there? These pairings tell your reader exactly what the researcher was trying to do. And honestly, this brilliantly illustrates the incredibly high bar we have in academia. The text points out that in Peale's case, he does not offer irrefutable proof. Why? Well, because irrefutable proof is absolute. It literally means it is fundamentally impossible to prove wrong. And in academic writing, we almost never claim to have irrefutable proof. So pointing out its absence is actually a really powerful standard critical tool. Moving on to section 2, the power of nuance, stating things strongly and less strongly. Okay, so we're transitioning now from looking outward at other people's work to looking inward at our own. This is all about how you assert your own claims. Think of your writing kind of like a massive soundboard. Sometimes the data is totally undeniable and you need to crank your confidence dial all the way up to a 10. But other times, maybe the data is preliminary or the topic is just super complex. Then you need to dial that confidence back to a cautious, measured 4. Knowing exactly which collocations to use lets you control this volume perfectly. So when you're operating at a level 10, when your data is solid and totally undeniable, you need a really firm, punchy delivery. You don't just say something was a big reason for the Industrial Revolution, you declare it was the key factor. You don't say something is just a good example. No, it's a perfect example of political misjudgment. Or it's a clear illustration of the importance of strong monetary policy. These phrases, they just project absolute authority. But let's dial it back down to a 4 for a second. If you aren't entirely certain, which, by the way, is super common in research, you absolutely have to soften your claims. You don't go claiming you have the final answer. Instead, you offer a tentative explanation of the causes of pollution. You don't say your statistics prove a recession is coming. You say they just broadly support the view. And listen, this isn't weakness at all. Actually, this is academic accuracy. It shows your readers that you actually understand the limits of your own data.
All right, up next is Section 3, Essential Academic Phrasing, looking at other general academic collocations. Let's grab a few more rapid-fire tools to round out your academic utility belt. Honestly, these are the workhorse phrases you're going to use in almost every single paper you write. This timeline of collocations perfectly maps out the actual journey of your research. At the very beginning of a project, you obviously have to gather evidence. Then, once you have it, you move to the middle phase and carry out a detailed study. During the analysis part, you're looking for all the factors that play a part in what you're studying. And finally, right at the end in your conclusion, if you want your claim to actually be accepted, you must offer supporting evidence. It's just a totally natural progression built right into the vocabulary itself.
And what about when you have to enter the ring with another scholar, when you need to tear down a rival theory? Just notice how elegant and professional it sounds to say that you challenge the theory put forward by someone else. Like here, Simon Hart challenges the theory of social change put forward by Professor Kemp. You aren't saying Professor Kemp is flat out wrong. You're challenging the theory he put forward. It brilliantly keeps the focus entirely on the ideas and not on the person.
Now for our last stop, Section 4, Avoiding Common Traps. Think of this as the safety briefing for your writing.
We're in the final stretch now. But before you go submitting that draft, we really need to cover the guardrails that are designed to keep you out of trouble. And this is, without a doubt, the most serious warning in our source text. It is an absolute imperative in academic writing to always acknowledge your sources. There's literally no gray area here. If you fail to acknowledge exactly where your information came from, you're crossing a major line. And as I'm sure you know, that line is called plagiarism. As our source defines it, plagiarism is using another person's idea or part of their work and basically pretending that it's your own. Committing plagiarism is, hands down, the absolute fastest way to completely ruin an academic career. It destroys trust in an instant, so always, always, always use those citations.
Finally, let's look at a couple of linguistic traps. These are super common vocabulary mistakes highlighted directly from the text. In English academic writing, you never make research. That's a big no-no. The correct collocation is to do research or carry out research. Similarly, a researcher never gives a theory. Instead, someone puts forward a theory or proposes a theory. Just memorizing these simple right and wrong pairings will instantly elevate the professionalism of your writing, and it'll totally keep you from sounding like an amateur. And just like that, we've reached the end of our explainer. You now have a seriously robust toolkit of collocations to help dial in your tone, review others professionally, and navigate academic phrasing safely. So I want to leave you with this really empowering question. What groundbreaking research will you carry out, and what theories will you put forward next? The blank page is just waiting for your contribution. Thank you so much for learning with me today, and I'll catch you next time.